Today we're going to discuss how to create a Lightroom preset, how to add a logo on it if you have a logo, how to add text. If you followed me any length of time, you know that I'm a big fan of presets, macros, shortcut keys. Um, each of those saves you seconds, seconds turn to minutes, minutes turn to hours. So if you go to File, to Export. Now you have other options right here, but we're going to deal with this one first as we set it up. So click on Export. So we're going to go from the top, we're going to go all the way down. So you have, we're going to select hard drive. You could send it, set it up right to go to email or CD. Not too many people use that anymore. So we're going to set it up for there. So the first dialog you have is export location. So you could do specific folder, same folder as original, or choose folder later useful for presets. So we're going to do this one. I'm setting this up specifically on items that I do on a regular basis. Okay, so after you do select specific folder, you could then select here where you would like to place it. Now, what I do is most of my uh, presets for social media send it right to my Dropbox into this section here. This is a directory that I put them to. Other images that are not set for social media but are full size, I still send them to Dropbox. It kind of depends on what I'm doing. Um, I'm a major fan of backing up. It's a fast way to throw them into your Dropbox account, and then you're able to back them up automatically online. So in this case here, I'm selecting put into a subfolder in this directory. So you have many different options. The next part of this is asking you, when you're exporting, what do you want to do if it comes up with a file with the same name? So you have three major options. You have choose a new file name, overwrite without warning, or skip. And so when it does choose a new file, new name for the exported file, it usually will add like one or something after it. Okay, so that's how that works. Often what I'll do is, you know, I'll export something, then maybe I'll go back in and tweak it, I'll do something to it, and then I will then go back in and select overwrite without warning. Or if I've gone through and I've edited items and I've exported part of the catalog that I've done, and then I go and want to export the entire catalog, but I don't want it to export the items that I've already done, I will then select skip. Okay. So the next part of this is file naming. What do you want to do with the file name? Okay, so we're not going to go through every aspect of this, but if you go to custom settings, you could set up for what you want to do. I'm going to show you how you do that. But you could do a custom name, one of how many, a custom name with the original file number, sequence, etc., etc. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to show you how you set this up. When you go into this template editor, you'll see that it's prompting you for a variety of items. So custom text, original file name. So what the original file name is stating is that it's whatever it was named when you import it into Lightroom from your SD card or however you've done that, is just going to apply that to it. Custom text is basically anything you want to name it. Okay, so if you want to add any of these others, you basically just go through here and you click on what you want to add. So if you would click here and you want to add a sequence or a date and time, you could do to add any of those there, and you could add it to this. So let's just say we want to add year, month, and date. So you would click that and insert, and it would put that there. Okay. And you could do that for each item. You could do, there's just so many options. You could have copyright symbols. You could have, there's just a lot of items that you could do with this. So I suggest getting in and playing and making something that works for you. So in this case here, I typically have, I name it with this, and then often I'll put, like just say here, this was at Phipps, so I might do that and set it up so that I'm naming where it was done. So there's just, again, so many different varieties that you could set this up for. If you have something that's set up and you don't like the way it's set up, you could go in and say we don't want the original file name attached to it. You could go and do that, and let's just say we want the date here. So we have a custom text, the date, and we would say OK. And then in this case here, we're going to name it like this, and it's going to put in a date for it. So again, you have just so many different options that you could do with that. Again, this is my standard practice. I put my name and maybe what the event or portrait session or whatever it was that I want. There are times that I will change this custom text. I'll put again my name and maybe wagon wheel for the case of this one here, or autumn picture or something to that effect. Just to prompt it when I export it, it kind of remind me what it is in the event that my viewing is just for without the images showing. Okay, so we have this type of setup. And the next thing is going to ask you, if it's video, you have this prompting that it's going to prompt you for the video settings. So in this case, it's a still image. And so now it's asking you, what do you want to export it? JPEG, PSD, TIFF, etc., and the quality, the size. And then the color space, and you can limit the file size. Now this is what I do for social media. Obviously, you set it up for what works for you. So I will do JPEG. Quality is 100%. I want them to look good on social media. But I don't necessarily want them to be very large. Again, this is what I do. I resize to the long edge at 1,000 pixels. Someone's stealing it, they're going to steal it. You could set this up for you for 72, whatever you want to do here. But I always utilize the long edge, and then I know that it's about here. Some people will do maybe 800 on the long edge. So again, this is going to automatically resize it just for the long edge, and then the shorter side. So say this was a horizontal picture, the long would be 1,000, and maybe the vertical would be 800 or whatever. And then as far as sharpening is concerned, I set mine up for screen. You could do matte or glossy. But again, this is how I have it set up for uh, social media. Okay, so this is one preset that I have. Sharpen for screen. And then at this point, you could include the metadata, copyright. You could change all these types of items here. And so I have this preset set up for all metadata. You could have remove personal location, location information, and so on. Watermark. So let's get into this piece here. So I'm going to show you how I created this one. This is one with a graphic overlay and not the text overlay. And you'll see that it has two options: watermark style, either text or graphic. If you're using a graphic, you select choose. I have it as a transparent PNG. I've found that they work the best. You could have a JPEG image, but the problem is the JPEG, it kind of like just sits on top of it, as you see there. So when I when I went to put a graphic over it, I used a transparent JPEG. My logo, I had actually had a professional create mine in the past, and so I have a couple different versions of this. What I mean is I have a transparent PNG that's white, a transparent that's black, and then I have the standard ones that are PNG that are have like a true border and things on it. So that's how you do that. You select choose, find that on your hard drive, and then select it from there. Okay, so the options that you have when you're using a graphic design versus text, again, it's going to be ask you for proportional, the opacity. So you could change the opacity of this. Now, if you're not using a PNG, you could change the opacity to drop it down. You could even a PNG, you can. But if you're using a JPEG, this might, so that it doesn't look so drastic on the image. So we could change this down or whatever if we want. Proportional, you could change something to that effect. And then the vertical alignment is interesting. So this is going to take it in this manner, okay? And so you can move this up and down. So as I mentioned, I have two different type of PNGs. One has a white text and the white logo, and one that has black. And depending on the image will be which I choose. Okay, so this is the inset where you're going to place it. So again, you drag this wherever you want it to be on your image. And so what I do is I have it set up to where I typically want it. I don't want it in the middle. That's just how I do it. You could put yours to the right or whatever, and I'm going to show you how you do that. Okay, so this next piece is called anchor. So if I have it in the middle bottom, but you could change it to here. It's going to put it right in the middle. You could put it up on top. Um, Typically, this is where I have mine when I'm using a graphic image. So you have different options too there. Okay, so if you move the anchor from the middle to either the left or the right, it gives you then the horizontal insert, so you could create it there. So you could adjust this to wherever you want, so you're not locked into that kind of position. So say you want it there. Okay, so again, a lot of options. I recently started to put it in the middle here. I used to put it down in the lower right, top right, sometimes in the lower left. But I found that whenever I put it in the middle, it makes it easier if I go to drop something onto Instagram, because often when you put it on Instagram, if it's horizontal, the image, some pieces of it might get cropped off, or it's not seen whenever somebody's looking on their smartphone or something to that effect. Okay, once you've gone in and either created a new one or edited one that you have these options. Okay, so these are ones that I already have. You have in there, says update preset that you were working on, save it as a new preset, restore default presets. Okay, so in this case here, um, I would select update preset, and this is what this represents: social media logo middle. So I would update that and select done. And then now what happens is if I would go in here and say I want to edit it, you'll see that it is edited with that right there in the middle. It's the changes are made. Okay, so that's using a graphic style. Okay, so this one is, I have it called Facebook middle, but you could call it social media middle, whatever you want it to be. Just watermark, whatever you want to name it. So we're going to edit this. We'll bring it in to the editor, and in this lower box is where you select text that you want to put in there. So this is representing a website. I capitalize the first letter of each word. Obviously, I don't put spaces because this is representing a URL. All right, now I've selected the Courier font, Courier new font. You could do whatever you want. I just like that look on when I'm using this. Your style, you have some different options. You could change the color. Whatever you want it to be. So you kind of grade that up. So again, I wanted it white, so we'll select that. Okay, so this next dialog is shadow. It changes your opacity, how much shadow you want in there, how much you want it offset, etc., etc. So not too much is how I have it. Opacity, just like the graphic, you change this whatever, how dark you want it. You don't want it real strong on it. Proportional. Again, same as the graphic. And this next piece. So right now I have this set in middle, but if you move this to the left, you now get the horizontal. You can move this over. If you go back to there, you only have the vertical, right? Same thing. Now from this piece, again, you could lift this up, put it there. So what I try to do is make it so that I have a watermark on it, but it's not that it's just imposing over the image, so it makes it not only ugly, people can't see it. Um, that's just how I do it. I've learned a long time ago that this is just as simple as it works for me, and so on. So again, we're going back to here. You have the option to save current as a new preset, restore, or update. So we're going to select update, done, and then now when we go in there, it has it moved up slightly. So I'm going to show you a couple presets that I have set up. Looks like, see, I spelled that wrong. All right, so here I have one, like if I'm making something for Craigslist, it's going to be a little bit different. I already have it set up where it's going to place it 800 on the long side. You could take it out where there's nothing in there. DNG focus stack. I'm going to show you this is that when I do focus stack images, like macro work or whatever I'm doing, I have this already set up that's going to send it off into a DNG style. You could do it as a TIFF or whatever, and then I bring it into a focus stacking application that I use. Okay, so you could do that. Here's another one. Let me see. Oh, this is from a long time ago. Let's just say what we have. So like when I did the Spartan, so this one here, this was the full size. I just really wanted to put it, if you remember I said earlier, put it in the same folder as the original, and then I named that so that it'll be in there inside the original folder where I saved those. Okay, so there's just so many different options, but you know, if you cover the same thing on a regular basis, or if you're using the same couple of catalogs, it's really I find it valuable to set up presets. So in this one here, it's I still have it listed as winter images, although I've been using the same folder all of 2017. So it's putting them in here and it's backing it up right in Dropbox as it exports it. It puts my information on it. And this is full size 100% JPEG. You can modify this however you're doing this, but I make sure that I have this set up here. Now in this case here I have a sharpen for glossy paper. Now often when I'm doing something, so let's just say for example the victory items that I do is, so this was for the social media items, I'll have it set up you know, for screen, because I know that it's viewed on a screen. This is social media. You'll know that I had the same thing on some of the other items. Like here is screen. Is if I know that it's just social media, I set it up for the sharpen for that. If I know that even if I'm producing something for somebody, and even though I'm giving it to them in the full size, but they've already stated that all they're going to do is for screen, I'll set it up and have a sharpening already. Okay, so the final item I want to show you is this. After export, what do you do? Now, what I do is I have it show in Explorer. So what it does is it pops up a again, this is for Windows. It pops up the dialog will pop up that the images are exported, and the folder icon will start to blink. I go in there and then I can drag it over either to my SmugMug account where I'm putting it, if I'm putting online, if it's a full size, if I want to put them in something on the social media, whatever I want. But what's nice is that you could have it do different items. Okay, so you could have it open another application, so you select that. And it's going to then prompt you what application you want, so you can navigate to there. Okay, so again, for me, I have a show in Explorer. It pops up and it's easily found for me. I hope these tips and tricks for Lightroom for export presets helped. The video is much longer than normal, but again, I really do hope these tips helped you. Stop back, subscribe below, and I will have more tips and trick videos upcoming. Bye now.